About a month ago, we were in the archives in Sombor, Serbia. A genealogist had given us a really great tip about one of the indexes that are there. We have a line that goes into the small town of Apatin. All of those books have been indexed. I'm going to show you exactly what that means. First, also, let me tell you that foreign indexes can be found in America. They're not common. The Apatin indexes are in the Library of Congress and another library in New York City. So the really, really large libraries, you'll find them there. Trip to the East Coast, but it's very, very worthwhile. This is where the records in Apatin really, really start. And we started going down this line with Teresa Eichmann. So obviously every index is going to look different, but to give you an example of what a pretty decent index looks like, there are three different indexes for Apatin. There's an index of the individual. So on that you would find birth date, last name, first name, father's name, mother's name, just to give you an idea. There's also, for our in Apatin, there's a family index. So in the family index, it breaks it down by family paternally. And I've never seen an index where it isn't really done paternally. We have a Joseph Sirac in our line, and it's a question of coming in and saying, okay, we know that our Joseph was born in 1826 because we have that record. And when we look at the actual family index, we find a Joseph that was born same time, 1826. And what we do with that is we find his parents' names. So we know, okay, Joseph was born to Franz Sirac and Katharina Roth. And let me also bring out one point. So a lot of the spellings change. I've mentioned that. And in this case, we go from a Hungarian spelling with a Czirak, but the index was done by Germans, and so all of the names are now changed to German spellings. So Sirac with a C all of a sudden goes to Sirac with a Z. We would not have known that if it had not been for the archivist. Shout out to Anastasia for pointing that out to us, that it's a German book. They used the German spelling, and she knew what that was. So archivists, genealogists, they are amazing resources. Use them. But at any rate, so we find Joseph, the correct birth date, we find his father, we find his father's parents as well. So we know that Joseph's father is now Franz Sirac, and his parents were Johann and Isabel Viola. We also have his birth date. We have his parents' marriage date. We have his mother's maiden name and his mother's parents. And we also have his mother's birth date, roughly, and death date. The other really cool thing about this record is that it lists not only the children's birth dates, but it also lists their death date in the instance of infant death. The other thing that an index might mention is where a person is born if they're not born in the city where they're listing the index. Other information on an index is if a person is a widow, they will have the information for the second spouse or the like. Another type of register is a married couple register that lists the spouse. And so here's an example. You have Joseph Sirac, who was married the first time in 1880 and then remarried after his wife died, remarried in 1884. And we're guessing that he had 4 children by the first wife and 4 children by the second wife. That would have been really horrible if he'd had 4 children by the first wife in only 4 years, like less than 4 years. No wonder she died. Each index is going to be different, but the point being that you can find these indexes in Washington, in New York. I think there was one in like Cleveland, Ohio or something like that. And it's absolutely worth looking it up because in the course of 2 days or something like that, I went from Teresa Eichmann down her line 4 generations. And because of the index, not only do I go down those 4 direct lines, but then it also branches out, and there are uncles and cousins